sports report segment. Wait, don't lose it. This is where he comes in. Kevin Minnick, give it to me. How's that, Kevin? Did we do better?
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I'm not a huge Tom Petty fan, but that's okay.
Minnick,
that's all right. You guys,
you're gonna have to slip me some clues here, buddy.
I'm gonna have to get back to you, but that's okay.
I mean, I want you to break down the games that I don't know about. Like we had McGarry on in the first hour, and he broke down the games that are kind of close to our studios here and stuff. And I want to hear about some games that were a little farther outside the circle. I want you to break them down.
I can do that as best as possible. I will attempt to do that for you, though.
All right, Kevin. Don't worry. I am now. You've given challenge accepted, as Barney used to say on How I Met Your Mother. I am going to find a song that not only do you love, but is Kevin Minnick approved. I am going to work on that. Hunter and I are going to get together. But in the meantime, go ahead.
I'm going to write a note down right now to look that up and find you guys a song.
Okay, sounds good. So you were out last night to see what many consider to be the best team in the area, right? That would be Paul Sacco. Yes, sir. Paul, can we talk to you? Sir. Yes, sir. Like, you're a grown man. He's a grown man. He always calls you sir, right?
Absolutely. It's, I don't know that I don't know if I would go as far as to saying they're the best team in the area. I think there's a few teams that right now are still a little bit better than them, but they've definitely picked up their game a little bit. And to go into Haddonfield last night and do what they did, 43-8, was pretty impressive. Just talking to some people before the game and trying to get a gauge on what other people kind of thought that. Most of us believe this was probably going to be a close game. I thought maybe 2 touchdowns would be the difference. But, St. Joe, once it got going and pretty much late in the first quarter is when it kind of took over and really didn't step off the pedal from there. So, 2 big, huge pass plays. Jada Byers goes 91 yards on a beautiful ball right down the middle of the field from Jaden Shurtell. And then Tyrell Russell picks up a tipped pass and goes 89 yards. So, 2 huge plays for them. The front 3 for them on defense, 2 sophomores and a junior in Chase Lomax, really set the tone. Stuffed Haddonfield time and time again. And, next thing you know, the lead got a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, here we go. It's a running clock. So, Haddonfield hadn't lost a game. That was 21 straight going into that game. So they had, felt what a loss, tasted like in quite a while. And, I don't want to say that they got it handed to them, but St. Joe really did dominate that game.
Kevin Minnick's with us, and I'll tell you what, that is the key sentence in your article on NJ.com is, unexpectedly, there was also a running clock. I mean, that is the great pivotal, and, hey, one sentence can be a paragraph, right? That's the journalism rules, and that really changed to me. Like, you set it up, great lead, buddy, right? Big plays on offense, electrifying type that can break your back, inspired effort on defense, especially up front by a young trio of players that are only getting better, and then, unexpectedly, a running clock.
Yeah, Haddonfield, you're looking at a team that, last year won South Jersey Troop 2, went up and won the South Central Bowl game, and and year in and year out is a team under Frank Delano that is always in the mix for a sectional title, always competitive, and so for a team to come in there and put the running clock on them, I guess it was about a little under 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter when it happened, but that just does not happen for Haddonfield. And even Frank, after the game, he couldn't remember the last time his team had given up 40 points. So, a lot of things happened to Haddonfield last night that have not happened in a while. And you got to give credit to St. Joe. They came in, they stuck to the game plan. Like I said, they got some big plays, and they also had some terrific defense. So, they had the right recipe last night for success, and walk out of there with a really convincing win.
And good for you, Kevin, to take some air out of my enthusiasm of calling them the best team, because after all, they are a team with a loss. They are a team that lost to St. Augustine. And hey, St. Augustine last night, people thought your game was going to be close, and it wasn't that close. St. Augustine Ocean City on paper looked like it was going to be close. It wasn't close.
Yeah, I think, no disrespect to Ocean City by any stretch, but, their first 4 games were not going to be and were not the same level as St. Augustine presents. And, you can look at St. Augustine coming in that game last night at 1-3, but you look at how they played and who they played, and those losses, they're not a 1-3 football team. And obviously last night they proved that. They got a couple kids back. They're now what would you probably believe to be a complete team at this point. So, moving forward, I think they're only going to get better. Not that they were bad, the losses, nobody wants to lose a game, and the losses, you look at it and you say, oh, they're 1-3, must be a down time. But no, they are a very, very good football team. And, when all is said and done, that record will get flipped, and they'll be, I think they'll be competitive when the non-public four tournament comes rolling around. I don't think they still have the pieces and the kind of players it takes and to hang with the guys in the North. It's just the fact that it's just the fact of the matter. It's just the reality of it. But down here, if you look at what they will have eventually, I think, get to at the end of the season, they'll be among the top teams in South Jersey.
Well, and I talked with Mike McGarry about that in the first hour. First of all, Cornell Davis, can you remember a kid that's had so many offers so early? I mean, the name that I pulled out of my vault was Myron Roll. Got a lot of offers when he didn't even play down here, but I mean, he was from this area, getting a bunch of D1 offers. Cornell Davis, he has something like 22 or 23 offers already. I mean, the guy is definitely on the radar as a junior.
Yeah, colleges nowadays they look at the tape, they look at the size and the measurables and kind of project kind of what things could be once they're able to get a hold of the kid. And there's a lot of kids down here, and Cornell obviously is one of them that have had some major looks. And these teams are just looking at kids. They're looking at linemen who may be 6'3" or 6'4" and 220 now, projecting. When they get a hold of them, maybe putting 50 pounds on them. A perfect example of that was a kid at Williamstown a couple of years back, Vince Kowalski, who went to Villanova, and he went from 6'4", 240 to about 6'5" and 305 pounds, and had an opportunity to try out and then play a little bit with the Packers. So, these colleges see these kids, and the numbers that we may see out of them, statistically, we may kind of look at that and say, well, how's that kid a major D1 prospect? What are these schools looking at? But they're looking at down the road and what they can do to a kid in a year to really bulk them up and get them ready to play. So you have to have the talent to begin with, and a lot of these kids do, and then they have the measurables that these colleges are looking for. So Cornell is obviously one of them, and hopefully he settles in at St. Augustine now, and obviously had a huge game last night in his debut, and just another piece of their puzzle.
And last question on that, or last statement on that, just to put a bow on that, is the fact that, he's a junior, that they have a sophomore running back, so yeah, maybe not this year that they go up and beat one of those 6, the North 6, right? But maybe the talent is rich enough in the next year and a half or next 2 seasons or so, was McGarry's point. Kevin Minnick's with us here on the Pete Thompson Show on 97.3 ESPN. I noticed the statement win that Shawnee had last night. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and they didn't just beat Morristown. They shut them out 45-0 in Morristown.
Yeah, Shawnee's number 12 in the state, and for us, and for good reason. I think the talk of what they went through last year is really it's over, and there's no reason you kind of at this point to even look back on it. This is a team that has experienced players, senior players, playing for a coach with a very good coaching staff around him, and then they're getting it done. So they have big game experience. They won a sectional title last year. They had won one the year before. So they're well on their way, and I'm not surprised that they won the game by any stretch of the imagination. But for them to come out and drop a goose egg on Morristown, who's been playing pretty well so far, this first part of the season, is another feather in their cap. And they're a team that's going to have another. They have tough games coming up, and like you said, you have to win. Got to win the ones that you figure are winnable, and this was obviously a winnable game for them, and they went out and took care of business.
I got to tell you, Kevin, I was really impressed by Millville winning at Cherokee. I mean, anytime I think of Cherokee, I always, for whatever reason, go back to like the EHT year that EHT ended up playing him in the sectional final. It was like rain, sleet, snow, kind of thing. And I want to say that's like maybe even as far back as '09 that Cherokee got on my radar as a team that perennially is good, well coached, prepared. So for Millville to go on the road and beat them, that's impressive to me.
Yeah, Cherokee first year coach last year in Brian Glatz, and they struggled, and they kind of struggled a little bit. Like you said, we kind of think of Cherokee as a team that year in and year out is in the conversation when it comes playoff time and has won its share of titles. But last year took a kind of a step back, and this year, was off to a good start. But the thing with Millville is, this is the second year in a row. Obviously, it's pretty much the same schedule and the same cycle. And, they faced three really tough teams to start the year. And they had to kind of weather that storm and stay together. And, I think they kind of had some struggles in that respect, but seemed to be getting things together. And, I went in and I thought Millville could win that game last night, before they even stepped on the field. I thought they were a team that has enough talent and, has enough experience at this point to get a W, and they do. And, if you look at the playoff picture, Millville was a team going in last night, I believe, was 1-3 and was probably in the top half of South Jersey Group 4 or 5. I forget what they were in, the 5, I believe, in the playoff picture because of the strength of the schedule. So not surprised by them going on the road and winning, but now I want to see if Millville can string together some wins and develop some consistency because, a win this week is great, but if they come out next week flat, this win last night is a little bit less exciting. So, I think they're a team that definitely has some talent on it. Has shown obviously last night with Solomon DeShields, heading the pit. So, they're a team that I think if it can develop consistency and kind of keep that foot on the pedal, I think when come playoff time is they're a team that can compete.
We just have to teach Dave Lagamba your Twitter handle. It's at Minnick Sports, at KMINNICK Sports, because, he tagged everybody else, for gosh sakes. You wouldn't have to work so hard if he just tagged you as well.
There you go. Everybody, if you're not following, you should follow because not only, when I throwing stuff out from where I'm at, I generally will retweet a lot of stuff that's out there from other schools because, that's what it's there for, to kind of spread the information around. So give me, follow me as best you can is a pretty good advice.
Absolutely. So, for example, of your retweets last night, you retweeted out the fact that Mainland scores in the final seconds to beat Clearview 14-7. It wasn't just a retweet. It was a retweet with video. Nice job by, SJ Sports Talk. Nice job by them to provide some video, and nice job by you to retweet it. And now we get to talk about it and your thoughts on Mainland at a perfect 5-0.
Yeah, I think they're great start. What can you say for them? I thought going into that game, I kind of gave Clearview the edge. I believe I thought that their schedule had been a little bit stronger in these first couple of games, but Mainland hangs with them, and I don't know exactly how it all went down other than the video clip to see the game-winning touchdown. But they're a team that is in South Jersey really is quietly getting things done, and obviously to be 5-0 right now is a great thing for them. They're a team that has had some struggles in the last couple of years or so, and needed to turn things around, and they're getting it done. So it's there aren't that many undefeated teams in South Jersey, let alone the state right now, and they're one of them, so they must be doing something right.
Yeah, Jaquan Mace is the name to remember. The other Mace was the guy that everybody was talking about, but this was Jaquan that scored the touchdown with 14 seconds left. And, all you really need to know is the fact that they were down all the way going into the fourth quarter, and then they scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to pull it out, stay unbeaten. Everybody down in this area that follows Mustang football is excited. Well, what am I missing, Kevin? Because, I try to, Columbo and read through your tweets and see what the games were out there that were big games or that were significant. What game haven't we talked about yet that jumped out on your radar last night?
Well, I'll tell you, there's 2 games really that kind of piggyback each other, and The first one would be Pleasantville knocking off Cedar Creek. And, Cedar Creek is a team that has been kind of, they've been talking a lot about being on this mission to get back to where they used to be, because they did not like the way last season ended. 57-0. Pleasantville beats them in the first round of the Group 2 playoffs. So they come out and they played really well this first month of the season. And then I kind of was shocked to see that Pleasantville knocked them off last night and to hold them to 6 points. Cedar Creek had been a team that had been scoring, I think, upwards of 30, 35 points a game. And, to score 6 is, I don't know. I mean, Pleasantville came to play. I guess I can say, and that's a huge W for Pleasantville. And then, on the flip side, Willingboro is a team right now who lost to Cedar Creek in the season opener, and has since then has not lost a game and has stepped on the pedal and is putting up points and numbers that are amongst probably the best in the state right now. So I think, I'm very surprised, in all honesty, that Pleasantville knocked off Cedar Creek, and now I probably have a little bit of better idea of just how good Willingboro is, because they've been scoring points, and they have a couple of really terrific players. Cornell Davis is a junior quarterback who's lighting it up right now, and really one of the top receivers in the state is Chris Long, a Temple commit, who's catching 7, 8, 9 passes a game, 120, 30, 50 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. So I think that they got things going right now. So that's a team I think people should keep an eye on. Even though they're the defending Central Jersey Group 1 champion. Willingboro is a team that if you look at them on paper, you would think they were a Group 3 or a Group 4 team. They got some kids and they got some size, so they're going to be a force in Group 1 again this year.